It's time for the beeline. It's time for the beeline.
Welcome, people. What's good? It's your boy once again. I'm back. That's right. It's been me. I've been here. Yo, check it out, Beeline. What's good? I told you we got some guests coming back on the show. It's been your boy just talking a little bit recently, but you know what? We definitely got guests coming. We got a guest lined up actually. Let's give a warm welcome to the Beeline, Mr. Mike Stover. He is a fellow podcast. Yo, he's got a lot of interesting things he wants to talk about today. And like I've been saying, if you guys have been following the show, yo, I've been wanting to talk about some of the professional wrestling things that I've been into my whole life. Yo, I've always been into WWE and Hulk Hogan. That's where, hey, yo, Mike, I had this thing on when we was talking about COVID-19. I was calling it COVID mania. You feel me? Because if you're watching wrestling now, you got Kofi Kingston, and he had the whole stint with WrestleMania, Kofi Mania, baby. But I'm kind of not doing that this season. I'm trying to stop. But I've been an all-time wrestling fan. But he actually does a lot of stuff, and we get to know this man right here. But as of all, like, share, subscribe, follow the page, do whatever you got to do. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys so much, and welcome back to the Beeline. So, Mike, what's going on, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, I was taking it easy one day at a time, brother. Newly married man, going on 3 years.
Oh, congratulations.
So that's been a blessing. But just like everybody, man, we're just trying to make the best out of things and get by day and try and get through this pandemic and just trying to make the best of it.
What started your podcast?
It kind of started back in 2010 when I got involved in the wrestling business.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just something I always loved when I was little, and I always dreamed about it like every day. And I went through a lot of excessive bullying growing up, so my escape was watching wrestling. It was just something that really took my mind off of it and took the stress away, was my love for that. And for years of loving it and just always watching it and always wanted anything that had anything to do with it, like till the end of 2009, my best friend was trying out for ring announcing, and I went to one of the shows, and a couple months later I started going to these shows on the regular and got involved with the company, which was a big treat because I got to see it from the other side of the curtain.
Yeah.
But it was also a headache too, but I didn't learn that till later on down the line.
Got you. Yeah. You actually made a pretty good point. I never thought of it. I started watching wrestling when I was younger. Just kind of because I think basically just my father was watching it and some other people were watching or whatever. And it was just like, I think one of the first matches I ever saw was Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. And I can't even remember where it was or what it was, but it was like they were fighting outside of the ring, and they were just like, Hulk Hogan was like dragging Ric Flair around the ring and he was beating him up. And I saw it in my father's room. He was watching it, but they were like asleep. And I was just standing in their doorway watching. That was the first experience I remember having. That was back in maybe 90, 91 maybe. So it's like, that was my introduction. I never really had a reason, but like you just said, I never thought about how it could build confidence on maybe bullying, kids who are being bullied and stuff like that in school and things of that nature. It's pretty interesting. I never even thought about that.
It kind of teaches you how to endure and rise above. It kind of teaches you how to find that strength to stand up for yourself, or it teaches you to have confidence and believe in yourself. And we all know it's a story. We all know exactly. that they're just telling a good story. We know that. But when you're a kid, you don't get that. You don't know you're watching a male soap opera, so to speak.
and it's entertaining. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I've always heard about. When anybody talks about professional wrestling, I mean, people still say it to this day, which is crazy. Like, it's so publicized at this point. I mean, it's traded on the stock market, WWE at least. But entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't agree with like, Vince McMahon. He doesn't want to even mention wrestling because of the stigmatism that's been placed on it. But I mean, I feel like it's entertainment. You feel me? I love watching it. I
Yeah.
love watching UFC too. But I mean, it's just like I don't watch it because it's real. I watch it because it's entertaining. You know what I'm saying? You see big dudes get up there and slamming each other, and you, like you said, the story comes in, and you like, oh, I can't wait to see this guy beat this guy, whatever. It's fun, bro. Like everything doesn't have to have this general purpose. Like
Yeah.
experience shit. Like, but
Yeah. Don't need to. I mean, there's always been agenda pushing in wrestling,
yeah,
but not as much as you see it in other forms of entertainment.
yeah. I guess.
I mean,
so.
you watch the CW, you can see almost every agenda being pushed in almost every show.
Yo, that's true. That's true. You know what? And I mean, I'm not trying to like, pick a point of conversation or whatever, but that's definitely something that I think people are starting to notice with entertainment, period. Like, there's always got to be like an underlining kind of, lesson in entertainment, whether it be like, oh, we want more female roles. So now you're gonna, kind of take over the story as more of like, okay, well, the woman was strong and overcame, even if that's not maybe the best situation for the movie, or I don't know. I'm noticing it more like, and it is kind of annoying, man. It is kind of one of those things where everybody can kind of just be like, just enjoy something. Do what you, if the man's supposed to win, let the man win. Don't just make the woman win just so you can have a woman winning. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But it's crazy.
I think people these days, and we're seeing a lot of it now, how like the cancel culture, we're seeing like a lot of stuff like classic cartoons from Disney, like Dumbo and the Seven Dwarfs, things like that,
Really?
things that have been out since I was very, very little.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't suit to today with today's agreement or with today's agendas. It's negative. It needs to be canceled. It's like,
Yeah.
no, where does history need to change because you can't?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't go back and set a reset button for everything that's been done. You kind of just got to learn from it, and you can keep culture. I mean, there's some horrible things that's happened throughout history or whatever, but I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's pretty. It's like inefficient, maybe I guess is the best word. Like to sit there and try to correct stuff from the past. I can understand not moving forward with it, but if you want to cancel it because Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs prove whatever. I didn't hear that one.
Well,
But,
yeah. I just think a lot of it
on.
comes down to misplaced anger and resentment, and people don't
Yeah.
know what to do with it. That's how you get groups like these cancel cultures going on.
Yeah, I
You
believe
know,
it.
people just
believe
wrapped
it.
up in their own crap and they don't know where to dump it off at.
Yeah, man. But all right, cool. Let's not get too lost or whatever. So, like you said, you started doing podcasting back in 2010. Believe it or not, that's actually when I first had the idea to start this show right here. I actually began it on Facebook, and I was just doing it kind of as a kind of like a written segment kind of thing that I was going to just kind of post something every day and just kind of have a little bit of thing, maybe even post different people's ideas on like a page. I didn't even think about it as a podcast. Since it was like your involvement in wrestling, was the podcasting something you wanted to do as far as involving wrestling, or was it just the idea?
I just started with wrestling, to be honest with you. How it came about was that there was actually an altercation that happened in the locker room at one of the events with the company that I was at, which was the UWC Nation,
UWC.
Unified Wrestling Conglomerate.
Okay.
And they got a documentary coming out pretty soon called The Rise and Fall of UWC, and the first one's out right now, so you can Google that and you can see the first episode. It gives you a pretty cool behind the scenes story of it. But there was a fight that broke out in the locker room, and right after a show, and it spilled out into the lobby where the fans and their families and their children were. And to me, I kind of took a paparazzi approach to it because I wanted a piece of the business. I wanted to be in it, but I also was realistic with myself because I didn't train my life to become one.
Yeah.
I just loved it that much. So it was kind of in that moment, I kind of realized I found something that I can create and I can give back to a business that I've loved and respected for such a long time.
Gotcha.
And through trial and error, I learned how to create, how to market, things like that. And I met a lot of good friends along the way that helped me better it. And I went 3 seasons of video, and it's still on YouTube to this very day. And it was amazing to the lengths it went, because a lot of people didn't think it would go as far as it did. But when I started getting Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Kevin Sullivan, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Kevin Nash, Daniel Bryan, when all these guys started showing up on my show, people started realizing, like, look, maybe this guy's got something. Maybe there's something there. And I don't think it was a matter of maybe, it was I did.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was something that was working for me, and I went 3 seasons with that and chilled on the video for a while. Then came back with the Turnbuckle Pad podcast, and I tried that for a while and still had the same magic by having Buff Bagwell on there and Kid Cash from ECW and WCW commentator Scott Hudson on there.
Nice.
You know, but after that was over, I just kind of got burned out with wrestling. I just had enough was enough. And at the time of my personal life, I was trying to find more meaning and more purpose to get myself right. And that's when I found faith again. You know, I kind of found God. So I kind of put that first, put everything else on the back burner.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. And congratulations for that. You know, it takes a lot of strength to kind of like, you know, defer from what you're doing, especially if you're kind of being successful at it, to say, you know, I need something that's better for me. Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, your story is very interesting, Mike. That's one of the reasons I was very excited to talk to you, because not only am I'm a huge wrestling fan, man. The names you were just dropping, like, you know, Daniel Bryan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, like, these are guys that, you know, I'm sure me and you are. I think you're a little older than I am, but we grew up in the times of, you know, the golden age, they call it, of wrestling, where you had the Hulk Hogan's and you had the
pre-Attitude Era.
Yeah, the Macho Mans and Bret Hart, and you know, the amazing people that, you know, that I grew up, you know, loving the industry, loving, you know, Vince McMahon, bro. He built that, you know, and he's just one, like, he's the main one that everybody knows. But like you said, where was the what is the promotion called that you were working for?
The Unified Wrestling Conglomerate.
Where were
they were based out of Chicago, Illinois.
Got you. Okay, so
and they were a unique company too, because you had so many other companies that were running, and there wasn't. I don't want to say there wasn't competition, because there was, but for what the UWC had and what they did and what they could have done, there was no competition for them.
Oh, really?
Because most wrestling follows a format. You know, you got to look a certain way. You have to perform a certain way. You have to train a certain way. You have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Most of the time, there's a general format for that, but the UWC wasn't like that. It didn't have that kind of flow. It was a melting pot of so many unique individuals with so many different kinds of looks, and you just never really knew what you were going to get out of a UWC show.
See, that goes along to like what they have now, because you hear it said, like, you know, for fans of the sport, like, you hear people talk about, back in the day, it was like, you know, you had the big guys and a big guy against big guy. And that was mainly like what they wanted to go. You had the Legion of Doom. You had, you know, the huge guys that were fighting each other, brawling to the death. But now you have more of the, you know, the Seth Rollins and, you know, Rey Mysterios, and you got all those guys who are smaller. They're not, you know, it started even earlier, as far as like when Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and them were kind of stepping into the limelight, instead of the big, you know, huge guys, Kevin Nash's and Undertaker's. The smaller guys were kind of jumping in. So it wasn't so much of like the big macho. It was more about like the style, or, you know, jumping off the top rope with the elbows and different things. Now it's just like a combination of just flipping and acrobatics, and, you know, a match isn't nothing like what it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? During the Attitude Era, it's a lot more physical, like I said, acrobatics, and just like, you know, like aerials, and it's crazy what they do in the ring now, man. It's not even so much like a soap opera anymore. It really is like almost a sport, man. You can't just wake up and say to yourself, like, hey, I'm a big guy, I work out a lot, and I drink my protein powder, I'm gonna go be a professional wrestler. Because if you jump in the ring with somebody who's sitting there, you know, got the rhythm down, the algorithm of how you sitting there, swinging this guy here, putting this guy here, moving this, diving under the ropes, jumping through the rope, like, it's a lot more than what it was even when I was younger watching it. And that's why I'm glad that it's getting a little bit more public, because it's the fake and real. Like, that's not the conversation anymore. It's about this shit is interesting. Like these guys are, incredible. I love
The
it, man.
ability to draw you in has always
Yeah.
been the key thing with wrestling, to make you feel and capture your interest. That's what made wrestling so great
Yeah.
during those golden days you were just talking about. But nowadays, because it's so publicized, like you said, and it's just the business is just so open that almost anybody can do it. It's really not that special if everybody else can do it. You know what I
I
mean?
get what you mean. Yeah. I
You
get what
know,
you mean.
it's like going to McDonald's to buy your favorite sandwich. If you know how to make it and what all the ingredients are, why would you go to them to buy it when you can just make it yourself?
Yeah, I get you. It's kind of flooding the market. It's just a lot. That's
Yeah.
why when you said in Chicago, because a lot of the promotions and stuff like that that basically started were, I know a lot of in the South, Georgia. I'm in Georgia right now, so it's like when I moved down here, that was where I was seeing a lot of like indie promotions and stuff like that. Like they have promotions like almost every weekend.
Yeah.
I've been to places when in gyms. I've been to a couple shows that have been just like in a little arena or something like that. With not many people, a lot of older town folk will be there, but it's really fun, like you said, like you meeting new guys, not just the famous ones that you see on TV, but you see just how many people are really dedicated to trying to be in those spots.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like if you're watching like a high school basketball game, you're like, wow, he's gonna be something someday. It's the same feel. So
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
the
And I've
scouting.
had that. I've had that feeling before. There was
Yeah.
if you remember Aiden English, who was
Oh yeah,
part of the
yeah.
Vaudevillains.
On
He
villains,
used to
yeah.
wrestle for a company out of Chicago known as Chicago Style Wrestling. He went by Matt Marquis, and he
Oh,
was on
okay.
my third season. And during that interview, when I was interviewing him, I'm looking at him. I'm like, this guy's gonna be on WWE soon.
That's crazy. I was just about
You
to ask you that
It
too.
was nostalgic. It was almost surreal. And here he is, a couple years later. I'm seeing him on NXT, and I'm like, that's Matt Marquis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's
now when I
crazy.
see his toy hanging up in Walgreens somewhere, I'm just like, no, here's a guy who made it. Even if he's not relevant and still not around on the big screen,
Yeah,
he made it.
yeah.
And
Oh
that's what
yeah.
matters.
Yeah, he's married to Eddie Guerrero's daughter, I think. Um,
Really?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he made it
Aiden
all right.
English. Yeah, yeah. He's married. I think he's Eddie Guerrero's daughter. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but yeah, that's. I was gonna ask you who have been some people that you have seen that you just said Aiden English now. Who've been some people that you've seen like that you might have done earlier on in their career? You're like, wow, they're dominating now. They're published.
um, the only guy that strikes me is Matt Marquis, because that's the only guy I could think of that made it to the WWE and got on live TV and actually got a push and got a
Gotcha.
rub. So it was, he's the only one that comes to mind. Not to discredit anybody else, but he's the
Yeah.
only one I could think of.
Yeah, yeah. There's also a lot more promotions and stuff like that now. Like you got the Impact Wrestling, AEW that just started, which is incredible.
Impact sucks now.
Yeah, you really, you know what? They're kind of merging with AEW, man. It's kind of getting interesting again. And I actually don't watch it. I do if you guys know, hey, guys, we're talking about. Sorry, Beeline. I like this conversation. I'm into this conversation right now. But we're talking about wrestling promotions. So if you're a wrestling fan, you definitely know what we're talking about. But on YouTube, if you go on YouTube, which we're on right now, you'll go on and you'll find What Culture or a bunch of different kind of channels that will actually kind of give you like a blow by blow of what happens every week on each individual promotion. And I'm a big fan of Simon Miller, the What Guy, and he's incredible, yo. When he comes on, he does the ups and downs, and he'll tell you about everything that happened on the show. So that's where I keep up with like most of the shows. Like I watch Raw and SmackDown for the most part, but I'll listen to see Impact. Nah, you ain't. Mike ain't on that shit no more.
I'm good with the highlights. I don't need to watch a whole
Yeah.
show to know what's going to happen or how it's going to.
Yeah. It is a little different, man. Like you said with the Attitude Era, back then was like when it was raunchy, it was more risque. It was like it seemed like the stories were better. And I also got to think about this too, Mike. And I don't want to talk about wrestling this whole episode, but it's
Thank
it's a
God.
big thing. It's a big thing that you said. But I always think about that one thing. With the Attitude Era was the era that I grew up in. I was a younger kid. I was like, 12, 13, whatever, younger, getting into my, teenage years. So it's like things like, you had the girls with the tits out and, mud wrestling, bra and panties matches.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, that was like, extremely entertaining to me. So sometimes I think maybe I'm just like trying to relive a time period that wasn't as great as I think. But then I think about the Stone Cold and the Rock and all the crazy stuff that came with those times, and I'm like, yeah, maybe it just isn't as good as what it was before. So I don't know. I'm battling my own thoughts, but
Yeah. It was a changing of the tide. It was
yeah,
a big changing of the tide between the golden age. Then you have the Attitude Era, and the Attitude Era, I think, it was pretty much kind of like the way life was and the way things were
yeah,
during that time. Because that was a time when if Stone Cold could come in and kick his boss's ass on a regular, just being a storyline alone, you know, a lot of people started like, you know what, I'm gonna fuck my boss. You know, I don't think I can
yeah,
go in and kick his ass, but I could definitely not take his crap either. And I think
exactly.
there was a big shift in mentality in life
Yeah,
that added to the Attitude Era.
yeah. Kind of root for the bad guy. I mean, that's even happening now. Root for the bad guy. The bad guy is the true hero in the situation. I mean, you see it happen. But like I said, I respect the fact that you started from wrestling, but I definitely want to get into what you're doing now because I'm actually a really big fan of what you're doing now as well. So
Awesome.
yeah, if you can tell us a little bit about your podcast that you currently have.
Well, the STOVERLOAD podcast. I created this and brought this back because of COVID-19. I was actually quite amazed at how impactful and how far this has gone, and how much of an influence it would have on people and what their passions are and how they're going to be able to pursue it and make the best of it. And being a musician, your bread and butter and the way you do your thing is you go and do shows, you go on
Yep.
the road, you tour,
Yep.
and COVID stopped all that.
Yeah.
And I'm a big lover of music, rock, country, metal, contemporary, Christian, some blues, some jazz. I like a little bit of all of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to see that go away. And I didn't want to see artists suffer because they are just like everybody else.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've had a
But
couple on here that's actually explained just what they're losing and not being able to do. Just not being able to do their craft is like a lot,
yeah,
sets a what's it called? Depresses a lot of artists.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're stuck at home all the time. You know what I mean? You really
Yeah.
can't go out or do anything that you would normally do. So you got more time than you know what to do with, but you can either A, wallow in it and let it get the best of you, or B, take advantage of it and make the most of it. And for me, I felt horrible for them. And there is a big, big world of great musical artists out there that are not on the mainstream, that are not on TV. And most of them are probably better. So I figured, well, what can I do to help remedy the situation? And with all the experience I've had with my previous shows and my prior projects, it seemed only right that I came back with my show, but I wanted to dedicate it and aim it to be a support for musicians around the world. And we already did our first season, and it
That's
went over
awesome.
greatly.
That's awesome. Yeah. So do you have them come on, or do you have do you talk to the or do they perform, or what do they do when they come on the show?
We have them on for a little in-depth interview. We like to have a chat with them, talk with them, get to learn about them, their inspirations, pick their brain a little bit, have some laughs at somebody else's expense most of the time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But we do that, and if they want to plug their music in it, they just gotta let me know, and I'll put it at the end. Another benefit too is we also have a working relationship with KRMA Internet Radio with Steve Jones and Bernadette Pearson.
Awesome.
And what they have the same goal in mind that I have. So what they do is on their network and on their radio show, I'll send them blocks of music, and it's multiple artists that have been on the show, and they'll air it live on the radio called the STOVERLOAD Podcast Rock Block.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And we've done 3 of those already. And we've done one called Cozy Corner. And Cozy Corner is more the country, the contemporary Christian, the relaxing kind of music. Something you could put on in the background when you're just hanging out with the family or just doing some work. Something that doesn't get the adrenaline going, but definitely keeps you in a pleasant state of mind.
Got you. That's a good point with music too. That's one of the best things about different genres. Like you just said, I'm a fan of multiple too. I don't like to be just one sourced. There's times where I like to listen to a little rock. There's times I like to listen to a little hip hop. There's times I like to listen to a little R&B. I like to, I've been a music lover my whole life. I've been involved in music my whole life. So that was one of the things that also interests me about your podcast. One of the things we do here on the Beeline is the Beeline Entertainment Show, and we have artists come on and we do a segment called Show Off, and what they gives them a chance to kind of show off whatever their skill set is. And I started that specific, like you said, because we're in a pandemic. A lot of people aren't getting to do their thing. I want people to be able to shine, through this, crap we're going through. I want people to feel
Yeah.
like they still have a way to have their voice heard and put their music out there and things of that nature. So yeah, much respect, bro. So so where do you usually go to find artists and things like that to come on your show, or do they contact you, or?
I I can honestly say that out of everybody I've had, it's been me searching them out. No
Gotcha.
one's contacted me. I think maybe one band did, but they literally were green, just very, very, very green and brand new, and all their work was all raw studio stuff.
Got
So
it.
they're still working on practicing and mastering their craft, but the door to them is always open. So whenever they want to come back or come on, all they gotta do is just give me the word.
Isn't it crazy? Just like you said with the wrestling one, you got, people who come on your podcast, you're offering them an opportunity. You know what I mean? You're offering them an opportunity to come on and speak with you, and you kind of let them shine. And of course, you're going to spread your podcast, so it's going to be them on it. If they blow up, man, they're going to remember those times that it was, hopefully, some people just like,
Yeah, hopefully.
whatever. I was there. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
hopefully, it's like, and you're not doing it for that, but it's just like, that's a start for somebody. You never know who's going to watch your podcast and see them like, wow, those guys are phenomenal. I like them. Let me, hit up Mike Stover and see where he met them at, or hit them up directly. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like in the middle kind of connection that you don't really aren't trying for, but it's there. You don't ever know what can happen. That's why
Yeah.
it's so good to give people a chance. Isn't it crazy you hear about so many different people, like especially like celebrities and stuff like that, where it's like they might step on the next man, or especially if they made it or did something, that was good. Somebody will come to them for help, and they'll push them back to the side, and then that person blows up and they remember that. You know what I'm saying? And you never
Yeah.
know how your career fell, or didn't evolve right, and now you just are getting stepped over like how you were doing. Karma's a bitch, man.
Yeah,
um
that's why when you go into something, man, you gotta remember two things when you go into anything, no matter what dream it is or what goal or passion it is you're pursuing. You gotta remember just two things. One, like you just said, karma's a bitch.
yeah.
You go treating somebody like crap or go walking over somebody or just being rude and disrespectful, that's gonna come back to you and you're gonna be known for that.
Yeah,
So be
exactly.
careful. Be careful with how you display yourself and how you treat others. But two, go into it with the right intentions.
Yeah,
It's easy to get overwhelmed when things start going really, really good
exactly.
and you got a lot of momentum and a lot of fire. That's good. That's what you want. But you don't want that to get the best of you either. And I speak from experience from the wrestling industry. That got to me and that hurt me. So
Yeah, really?
yeah, I'm not going to go into detail. It's a story for under the bridge, but
Got it.
yes, it got the best of me,
Yeah.
and it damaged some things. It took some time to repair, but it got done. But you got to keep yourself in check.
And since you've been on, have you like, because you sound like you've had a lot of experience with, doing like the podcasting radio kind of scene. Has there been other people that you've met that have helped you get into better positions in
Yeah,
your career? What were
yeah.
some of those?
My best friend actually, Alex Thorne. He's like, I met him through the wrestling business, and it's funny because we talk about this all the time, man. At the time when he was a pro wrestler and I was just some super fan coming in, you know, I I was a dime a dozen. You just patronize guys like me. We don't really matter. We're the
Yeah.
crazy fans that like what you do, and we're the ones that are gonna pay for your tickets, that's gonna pay you.
Yeah.
But over time, Alex would give me pointers and show me some things how to better myself. And it took a while for me to understand exactly what he was saying. But once I finally got it, that's when my caliber of work started getting better. So I stuck with him because he was an inspiration. And to this very day, me and him we're like brothers almost. That's how much love and respect I have for him. And he was definitely probably the biggest source. the biggest inspiration and source of help and support and constructive criticism when I needed it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be open to hear constructive criticism,
You
man.
I was thinking that same thing as you were saying it, man. You one of the biggest things I think when you're doing anything in your life that you, especially something that you're serious about, if you're not open to hearing what people are thinking about it, and I'm not just talking about the negativity. Negativity is good as a driver, as good as a corrective tool to maybe help you focus on what you need to focus on better or whatever. But if you're one of those people that are like, oh, everybody that says something bad to me is hating on me and blah blah blah. Listen, man, you got to be realistic. And
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you know what I'm saying? They might be saying some shit you don't like, but it could also be something that you might need to hear.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have those problems, like in every industry, like you were saying. Speaking is hard, man. Doing this shit right here is hard. It's you would think it's easy. It's like, oh, you just sit down in front of a mic and just talk. I mean, it's not like you're
Yeah.
need anything to think of stuff to say. To like, I stumble on my words all the time. Like, I've been doing this only for 6 months now, but it's very hard to kind of keep a consistent conversation. Talk to somebody and keep it going without pauses or breaks or
Yeah.
different things to think about or whatever. It's complicated. It's definitely a task.
Definitely a big difference between being a keyboard warrior and a host of a show.
Definitely. Yeah. You could learn to type and away all damn day. But when you got to stand in a microphone and look somebody in the face and say, yo, what do you do? What's going on? How do you do it? And keep it interesting. It definitely is a lot of work.
Well,
But I
there's
love
an old
it.
school mentality that comes with that, though, because back in the day, that was called respect.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, yeah. It's easy to get on a computer or something like that where you're not looking somebody in the face and just say whatever you want to say. I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of the bad things that we have going on now with, like we were talking about earlier, about the cancel culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to just voice your opinion when you're faceless. You know what I mean? Like, your voice can be heard, but you don't have to be known. So you can say whatever the hell you want to say. That's why you got trolling and you got all this other shit or whatever, because people just want to make noise a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? They want to down you. They want to say something, but you can't take that and think that anytime somebody says anything negative about me, it's just that. You know what I mean? You still got to pay attention to what you might need correction on, what you
Yeah.
might need to look for, in your own eyes that somebody else might be saying that you're not. So it's important, man.
There's a saying that I go by. I'd rather have someone mad at me that I was honest than to be happy with me that I lied to them.
Yeah, that's a pretty good saying.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly it's a respect. It's a matter
Yeah.
of respect these days, and not all honesty is pleasant. It depends on your delivery of the honesty.
Yeah.
If you're being cutthroat and it's gonna be a brutal a-hole about it, yeah,
That's
you
me.
probably could have handled it a little bit better, but
Yeah. That's me, Mike. Straight to the fucking point, man. I mean, that's the reason why I started this podcast, because it's like, see, this is good right here. I started this whole thing, man. I wanted to basically have a platform to just speak freely, man. I didn't want to be able, especially in the time period, like when I came back and really started doing this, I wanted to say what I wanted to say, man. I noticed all the cancel culture and everything going on, and you can't say shit without, getting judged, or let me find the right way I can work around this. Nah, man, I wanted to just speak openly, because when you do try to do too much of that, like, oh, let me make sure I formulate it the way that people want to hear it, you leave a lot out. You don't say everything that you really want to say. It's a way to be respectful, but there is a way to be straightforward too,
yeah.
without trying to just change your thoughts and opinions to try to fit perfectly in somebody else's ears. Like, that's one of the reasons I started this, man. I want to speak openly. Like, I let everybody know from the beginning, you might not like everything I say, but you also have the option to turn it off. You also have the option
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
You have options. You don't need to go on a message board and say, oh, we need to get him off the thing. No, you can just not listen.
Seriously. If you don't like what you're listening to on the radio, change the station.
Yeah, you have
You
options.
don't like
yo.
the TV, change the channel. You know
Bro.
what I mean? No one's forcing you to sit here and listen. If
People need to learn that.
People like to complain these days. We're in a generation now where it's like people's feelings have to matter first before anything else, and it's like, no. I'm
Even
not
logic.
saying, common sense.
Yeah, even logic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, everybody's entitled to their own.
Yeah,
Everybody
it's
has
true.
their own opinion, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But we ain't got to hate on each other and give each other crap and put each other down because we're
Exactly.
different.
Exactly. Yeah, you can sit here, and I think that's a really good point. Like that needs to be like spread more than just you can have your opinion, you can have your thoughts about people, but like you said, respect is still a factor that needs to be portrayed more than anything. You don't like something, that's fine. You don't gotta like it. Nobody told you to like it. You could turn it off. You can move away from it. You can do whatever you can do to not be around something you don't like.
Right.
But when you want to sit there and go and take what you don't like onto that, show or that person or whatever, and tell them, I don't like that and I don't think you should be here. There you get the disrespect. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for you to try to voice your opinion to me directly because of your personal feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not, especially if it doesn't involve you. Oh, but my kids might hear it. Then that's when people start trying to formulate it so it can work in their favor, so they have a reason to do this shit.
It's called use some common sense, man. If you know you're going to say
man.
something you shouldn't be saying at the wrong time, don't say it.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, talking is definitely a scary fucking thing that we have in our country now, for real. Like, you don't know if you're gonna say something, especially people with money and like people in big places. You say the wrong thing, man, you're ending your career. That's gotta be horrifying, man.
I welcome situations like that. I welcome them, and I only do that because I care about my neighbors. I care about people, and I don't like especially right now with the way the world is and the way things are going.
Exactly.
I hate seeing people being put in the middle of a power struggle.
Yeah.
Or being used as a what's the word I'm looking for? An expendable point. Expendable is
I get
probably
what
the
you're
best
saying.
word to use. Yeah, I don't like that. So when I see major powers that be or someone like that, and it's been brought to their attention. They're aware of it, but they do nothing about it. They're just going to continue doing what they do. I love making those people mad.
Yeah.
I love it
like a
because
bully.
I'm not going to shut up. Freedom of speech is free.
Yeah.
But in their eyes, it's only free until someone gets offended.
Yeah, but that's where we're going. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it is going. And then you got a lot of people that are trying to like fight back on it. But even the people that are trying to fight back on it are doing it in a way where it's like you're kind of doing what your enemy is doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
fight fire with fire.
Exactly. Yeah. I think people just need to kind of relax, man. We in the fucking world where it's like, we have a lot of open communication paths at this point. It's not just a telephone anymore. It's not just writing a letter. You can communicate your idea in so many different ways, and so many people can hear it. So many people can grasp onto it. So many people can decide to follow it. You know what I'm saying? It's gospel in a way to a lot of things. If you say the right thing well enough, you know what I mean? Somebody can follow behind you. And if they follow behind you, somebody can follow behind them. And it's a chain link effect.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy. But let's talk about what's going on with you, boss. So we definitely got to the wrestling thing. We got to your podcast and your music, and you told what type of music you like to listen to. You also said you're, newly married. How's that going? And did you get married in the pandemic or?
Oh no, thank God, no.
Yeah.
I got married back in 2017.
Okay, so a couple years now.
Yeah, me and my wife, we met on plentyoffish.com, believe it or not.
Me and my co-host, IT Tiff, who I usually do the show with, we met on Plenty of Fish too, man. Isn't it crazy?
And I usually hated the online dating thing.
Yeah.
Because it was through enough trial and error, it's just not worth it. It wasn't worth the headaches and all the crap you had to go through. And I gave up on it. And then, I moved from Chicago to Wisconsin, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got to get myself back out there again. And here comes the trial and errors again. And part of me was thinking, you're getting right with God. Maybe you should avoid this stuff, and he'll send the right person to you when you're ready. And sure enough, he sent me my wife. And funny thing was, like, if you notice in these sites, they'll give you like a suggestion. Like, oh, you might like this person. You might like that person. Well, the funny thing was that I was showing up in her list and she was showing up in mine. And we both ignored each other the first time around.
Yeah.
We didn't say nothing. So, it wasn't until like after a while, second thoughts started coming into play. She shot me a message and I'm like, all right, well, let's meet up. Let's see what happens. And here we are today.
That's awesome. And you want to know something? just like we just met each other and we're talking on this podcast right now. We both met the women that we're with the same way on the same internet chat line. It kind of seems like the internet chat line was something when it first, well, internet dating service was something when it first came out. There was a lot of people that was like kind of dismissing it, like, oh, I don't want to do that. It was kind of more of like a negative thing. I'd rather meet somebody in person. I'd rather meet somebody face to face. I'd rather meet somebody when I go out. But it seems like nowadays, since there's so many people online and there's so much like, people are busy, man. People don't want to talk to each other no more. People would rather have like, small communication. You want a text message, you want to send an email or something. You don't really want to get on the phone and talk for an hour anymore. You don't want to do that. You want to send back-to-back messages, even on those dating apps.
You don't get somebody that.
That's where it is now, though. That's what's so crazy. It's like, it's not like back in the day where, I mean, you can still go to the grocery store and the lady drops the tomatoes on the floor and you're like, oh, here, miss, thank you, I'm sorry, oh wow, that's a nice dress, and then bam, conversation, hey, could I talk to you again sometime? You know what I'm saying? Like the casual meet and greet that you used to maybe do a little bit more before the times change. Now the times are like, people ain't trying to fuck with people too much. Like,
no, you ain't lying.
It's hard to like generate a good connection with somebody face to face before you see them on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. Like, you can do that shit all day.
Back in the day, though, that was the fun about meeting people in person, because it's up front. It's right there in front of you. You don't you weren't able to go on their social media and get a spoiler alert or get a prejudgment before you actually started. Is this somebody I really want to talk to?
Yeah.
It was either you do or you don't.
Excitement to that too. It's like a mystery, like you said.
Yeah, hell, I was going through dates and things like that back in the AOL days before internet dating sites even started. Back then, it was called talking to somebody and getting to know somebody.
Yeah,
but the one thing that was in common back then is the same way it is now. People can lie.
Yep, that's a big thing.
They can lie.
Fix your image.
Some girl tells you she looks like Janet Jackson. Next thing you know, you meet up and you got Tito Jackson on your hands.
Yeah. That's just how it be. Hey, and like you just said, like the one thing about the internet thing where it's like the convenience of it is great. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you moved. I was the same way when I moved to Georgia. You moved to Wisconsin and you realize like, hey, I don't really know nobody out here. So what can you do? You can go to a bar. You can sit down at the thing and wait for the lady, buy a drink. But now you just kind of open your phone. You're sitting home like, oh, maybe I could try to get myself back out there a little bit now. Yeah, put the profile out there. You see somebody, and then look, you got a couple of days from it. Send a couple of messages, and you actually met a wife. So you met somebody great. But it is something that is convenient. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you are kind of losing something with that, that prize. Like you're losing that personal connection that you meet with somebody and you don't know that mystery. Like, oh, I don't know she has 3 kids. I don't know she works at Sam's Club or whatever. Like,
right.
It is the mystery. You know what I'm saying? There's more to talk about, even if you think about it, like the conversational piece that you'll have. So what do you do? So how'd you start there? You're seeing this shit you can still ask them, but it's not like, like you can formulate your game better. It's interesting, man. I love the fact that there are so many different ways that people can meet each other, but I do not like the fact that people are fake and less genuine and not really interested in having face-to-face interaction anymore, man. One more thing on my crazy rant. I have interviewed people on this show where my girl's sister, she's came on and told me straight up that people will go and meet somewhere in a mall or something like that and just exchange online shit and then go home and talk to each other there.
What's the point of even meeting up? What the hell? I mean,
for real.
It's just that's the problem with it. Like the internet and social media has been fun. Yeah. It's been an advantage. It's been good for many different things.
Yes.
But I think some of it has stemmed our ability to grow and be creative and how we actually talk to other people.
Yeah.
It's been a good icebreaker in some cases. It's been good for initial contact, but don't make it a primary contact. I mean, let me ask you this, Brian. You ever get those friends or those family that you want to talk to? You literally want to pick up the phone and say, hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. But they rather just text.
Yeah, All the time.
Am I the only one who gets annoyed with that crap?
I like talking to people too. Like I'm like you right now. Like honestly, if somebody's trying to talk to me, I got about maybe four messages, maybe 5 that I'll send back to you. But after that, I'm done typing, bro. Like I'm not gonna have a storytelling moment where you're over here texting me, and then I went to the store, and then it's like, but guess what happened after that? And then I'm gonna wait for the text. What happened? And then the text comes in. Well, she wasn't there at the store. And I'm like, all right, I waited 15 fucking minutes just to hear this one little piece of the story. You could have called me. You could have.
Yeah.
Do you remember your phone actually works as a device that we can, hey, what are you doing? And have
For
a
real.
whole conversation.
For real.
It's forgotten about. It's forgotten about for real, man. It definitely is.
Yeah.
But, I'm not like that either, man. I don't like messages, 50,000 messages back and forth. I'd rather just call. Like even when you called me on you know what I'm saying? Like it's easier. The communication's fast, done. All right, hang up and you're finished. You know everything you got to know.
Exactly.
Messages can last all damn day, man. Yeah, you get somebody text you in the morning, and then you text them 15 minutes later after you see it, and then they text you 2 hours later after that.
Yeah,
it lasts forever.
You go to bed, you just answer one question or say one thing. You wake up to like 4 or 5 paragraphs. You're like, where the hell did that come off of one line?
You don't even want to talk about it no more. You're just done with the whole conversation.
Yeah. All that time you wasted typing that crap out, you could have just picked up the phone and said it in half that time.
Yeah, that's where we at, man. It's definitely, I mean, I can't imagine it changing. I mean, with our kids, you got kids?
None that I know of.
No. Well,
no, I ain't got none.
Congratulations. I used to say that same thing too. But, you know, one thing you start noticing when you're having kids, man, is like, you know, how we're used to a certain way. We're used to, you know, picking up the phone and calling people. We're used to meeting people outside. We're used to doing things of that nature. But my kids, you know, they're growing up. Oh, there goes outside life. They're growing up and they're this is their normal. You know what I mean? This is what their interaction. Just imagine what's going to change for them, just like things change with every generation that grows up. So it's like if they have this kind of human interaction now, which is a lot more able to contact, but a lot less contact, just imagine what they're going to have then. You know what I mean? It's going to be a whole different story.
You know, it's kind of funny because how you're mentioning kids and what they're going to learn and how they're learning it. Like you have, I see a lot up here, a lot of single moms. Yeah. You know, and it's everywhere. You know, and sometimes you know it's due to unforeseen circumstances, and sometimes just because they made bad decisions. Yeah. You know, so you see like a mom overburdened with like a lot of kids and nobody really in the picture in terms of like a father figure or a male role model, you know, so it puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
And one of my closest friends, she has 3 boys, and she was like one of the first friends I made when I moved up here. And when I first met them boys ran roughshod on her. I mean, she was constantly tired and stressed nonstop. So when I started hanging out with her more, them boys started learning, you know, to listen, do what you told, you know, be respectful, things like that. And one was like 5, the other was like 2. So they were still young. So I had to break it down in the way they understood. So I started bringing them to church with me, and they really started liking it there. And it helped out a great deal, you know. So as far as me having kids go, no, but that's probably the closest thing I do have next to having a niece.
That's awesome.
You know, and
that's
sometimes
awesome,
if you can't have your own, doesn't mean you can't be a good dude to, you know, to a kid that you might be around, you know what I mean? Teach them something valuable, you know what I mean?
That's important too, man, because that kind of goes back to like, you know, like more back in the day, but it's like more that like it takes a village to raise, you know what I'm saying? Is it village to raise the kid, or is it village to raise, I don't know, one of those phrases, but I know what I'm talking about. But you don't have to be the DNA, you know, match. You can just be a positive person that somebody looks up to, man. I knew this one girl I was dating, and her son, you know, looked up to freaking LeBron James. He like he was daddy, you know what I mean? Like literally all he liked was LeBron James. He went around trying to be a basketball like LeBron James. It was nothing he did. He was trying to find food that he likes, everything. But it was just a positive role model that he saw, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's just somebody that he looks at like, wow, he's good. He plays basketball good. He's this good. And imitate that. And if you're somebody where, you know, like you said, a lot of the women, a lot of times they don't make good decisions, and you'll go and meet somebody and think it's going to be a good thing and do all this crazy thing, think somebody's going to hang in there with you. But at the end of the day, we don't carry the baby, man. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't, not unfortunately, because I don't want to carry no baby.
We ain't built for that.
Actually, hell no. But women carry the baby. So if they make a decision and that guy is that guy, and then all of a sudden, boop, hey, I got this going on here, and the guy's like, well, I'm out.
Right.
You feel me? You're left with that there. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's you.
And I think it's crappy because I think women get a lot of crap for those situations. You know what it makes it? You know what? Hey, you know what? You can't put it all on her either, man, because the dude was just as guilty.
Yeah,
For spreading that sauce when he shouldn't have been.
Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean?
very true.
Have some common sense. I
Yeah.
was smart enough to know throughout my life, don't go raising kids you can't take care of.
Yeah. Or making them.
That's why I don't have any.
Yeah.
I could take care of one now, but back then, no.
Yeah.
And I was just being smart.
Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of people lack, man. But like you were just saying, bro, like this is very interesting. Like we kind of got to this towards the end. I love this conversation right here. This is it goes back to even with the dating, man. Like when you're sitting there on your little app, or you're going Plenty of Fish and stuff like that, you meet somebody and you're attracted to them. That initial attraction and everything is amazing. You like to sit there and be going out with somebody and talking to them, getting to know them. You build an interest, you're building freaking, emotion and attraction. And then all of a sudden, like, you clash together and you do shit and you do have fun together and stuff like that or whatever. But, if something happens and you realize that person isn't the person that maybe you should have waited a little longer to find out more about that person that you just got really involved with.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's like everybody's, of course, going to make mistakes, especially when it's feelings and emotions. But you're going to make mistakes. But it's just women, unfortunately, no matter what, if that mistake goes to the route of pregnancy, they're there. Men should always stay. Don't get me wrong. Men should always be there to help and support. If you lay down, you should be able to,
throw down.
Exactly. If you lay down, you should be able to throw down. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying there ain't no damn chain attached to nobody's damn leg like that baby attached to you. So if he chooses to dip, that's why you got to be smarter, man. Unfortunately, that's just being honest, yo.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you're making those right decisions before you lay down, man.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but you got to flip the coin a little bit. There are the idiots. There are the negative ones who prey on those situations.
Yes. Yeah.
That'll play those bogus pregnancy cards that will go and have a baby just to try and trap a dude.
Yes.
And if it don't work out, they don't want the kid no more. And they don't want to break the law. So now they're bitter and they're bringing up that kid up in a hostile environment. Now that kid's going to grow up screwed up because you couldn't make a good decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That ain't right to the kid. Why is the kid got to suffer because you ain't got good sense?
Yeah, that really does happen, man. Or punish the kid because of what the dad did or something like that. I've seen things like that happen, man.
Yeah.
It's horrible, bro. It's horrible.
Yeah, I hate seeing that crap too. I got no respect for that stuff, really.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so weird how the stereotype has flipped. Because I remember like back in like the 80s, 90s, maybe even the earlier 2000s, 90% of the time it was always men that were always the dogs, that were the deadbeats, the ones that are just going to take advantage. They're going to hit it and quit and run. You know what I mean? Now look at the way things are today.
Yeah.
Things have changed greatly.
A lot of that is also because, we have this new foundation of, and I'm calling it like I said, it's the beeline, right? I'm saying what I want to say right now. You have this new way of, a lot of times you got women are trying to compare themselves to men in the light of, well, if he could do it, why can't we? And then you have the women who are just like, I can sleep around. Oh, the men can sleep around. It's like more of a I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's like a
it's not an equal rights thing.
It's not equal rights, but it's literally like just trying to like have an excuse to do something. Like people have this illusion of men just are supposed to sleep with everything in the planet. Let me tell you something. I've never thought that was like, true. I do understand like where people get it from, because, if you're a guy and you say, hey, I've had 50 women in my life, there's a lot of people who would probably be like, oh, wow, he's been with a lot of women. It might look at it like a ladies' man, chick magnet, whatever you want to call it.
Gigolo.
But at the end of gigolo, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's something to be respected. I think it's way more to be respected. Hey, I've been with a couple of women.
Yeah.
Situation didn't work out, but I treated them right. I did good. That's somebody who you want to look up to. Like, oh, this guy is, doing good. He didn't make any babies and have 7 kids, 5 different women, all over the place, and not really raising them, just sending them money whenever he gets a check. That's what I think that people should be looking for. Oh, I take care of my kids. I do this. I do that. My baby father, he's a great guy. I respect him. He comes and sees his kids. We have a good working relationship. Not, oh, he can sleep with everybody. I'm gonna sleep with everybody too. Why can't I do it? Like,
right.
that's
Not
what you're
everybody.
going for?
I know. And everybody thinks that, and it's tripped out too, because like you're saying, you know, I don't think women should be deprived or not recognized or given accountability or given a chance to do what a man can do. If you can do it and you want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
But there's some things that we're not built to do like the other can. Men
Just
aren't
saying.
built to have babies.
Just saying.
We can't be doing that. You know what I mean? We have a baby. There goes anything that defines us as a man at that point.
Just saying.
You know what I mean? That's why there's man and there's woman, you know, but now things
Yo.
are just so mixed up now
Yeah,
with
man.
all these, what do I identify as? Now I'm this, now I'm that. It's like,
Yeah.
good Lord Almighty.
It is crazy, man. It is crazy. Everybody deserves respect. Everybody should be entitled to live the life, the one life that you're given, however you want to
Right.
live it. There's no problem. And with that comes respect. If everybody was respectful, we'd be able to live in this world a lot easier, even if everybody wants to identify however they want to identify themselves as. It's just once you start building this crazy illusion that you have to see what they see. I think that's where it gets too far. I'm a woman. You can't tell I'm a woman. No, I can't, because I've been, born to know what a man is. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm not trying to
It's
discriminate.
usually in the throat. It's called Adam's apple.
Yeah, like I kind of know you were born this way. Like that's the best I can do, So I have no problem with calling, if somebody wants to transgender and they feel more, hey, excuse me, but I prefer a she. I fine, man. That's fine. That's your path. That's what the way you want to walk. But don't criticize me because I came up and initially said, hey, I think hey, how you doing, sir? Like, what are you doing? No, that's not what I go by. Oh, I'm sorry, but this is what I've learned throughout my school and shit.
Right.
You know,
It's funny you say that, because one of my first jobs I had up here, and thank God the person was super cool, because this could have backfired and caused a lot of problems. But this girl got hired at this job, and the managers come back and tell me and another manager that she's going through the transformation and she wants to be identified as he. And instinctively I just said, ah, crap. And my man's like, Mike, you can't say that. I'm like, I said, no, I didn't say that because I have a problem with what they're doing. I said that because I know I'm going to slip up and I know I'm going to screw up.
yeah,
I know I am. And once the person got hired, dude's cool as hell. We got along great. I went on a double date with her sister and her girl. I know there's a lot you got to figure out in that one, in that little description, and I slipped up quite a few times. She didn't take no issue to it.
yeah.
There was no problem. So I don't think it's so much what the person is. I think it's the people who need to have social acceptance and
Yes.
social approval by it.
Yes.
If you're doing this for you, you don't care about what society or anybody else
Exactly.
thinks. You just
Exactly.
do you and be happy with you.
Yeah. It's a respect thing, man. Like, you
Yeah.
respect everybody. If somebody wants to do something with their life, that's their life. No problem. You know what I'm saying? I
For
would
real.
never, I can't even imagine getting upset because somebody came to me and said, hey, I would appreciate if you called me what I want to be preferred to call. No, I'm not doing. Why would it even come out of my face? Like,
Yeah.
oh, sure, man. Hey, whatever you like. I didn't know at first. Sorry, but it's just respect, man. Let everybody do, and they should, like you said, respect as well. Don't ever sit there and try to confront your, personal feelings and stuff like that, and try to make it my personal feelings. I don't feel the way you do. I can just respect how you feel, and you respect how I feel. We meet in the middle, and just try to make everybody feel good, man. Like, everybody should just be able to go their route the way they want to go without trying to fucking press their self onto somebody else. And that's what a lot of people are doing now, man. Let me make you think like me.
The one thing I miss about Chicago and that city is that there was this overall respect in the city. They had a saying, it's called "you do you," meaning you're going to do you, I'm going to do me. No one's going to look down on each other. No one's going to give each other a hard time or shun or do anything disrespectful or rude to each other because they're different. It was just, hey, you do you. The city was too fast paced to waste time on petty little shit like that,
bro.
And I miss Chicago for that reason, because being up here in Wisconsin, there's a big difference in mentality. It's not a major populated city like Milwaukee or Chicago or New York or something like that. Things are a little bit more laid back where I'm at. So people got more time to dwell and gawk and stare and look for reasons to nitpick, you know?
That's a big one.
Yeah. And where it tends to get different and sometimes it gets out of pocket is that when they decide to push it too far with someone that don't play those games.
Yeah.
And you
Very
know,
true.
the person's not going to run to their social media. They're not going to get on their phones or call their friends. They're going to get right in your face and they're going to handle it.
Exactly. And
And
then
that's why
it's sad.
what-
Sorry to cut you off, but it's
That's
sad
good.
that people literally, you know, you should never have to be placed in that point where you're like at your breaking point and you're going to handle it like, you know, direct, man to man, face to face. But people judge you on that shit, man. And it's like, I'm not the one to go home, like you just said, and go on my computer and write a letter about what just happened to me. Like I'm the one to say, hey, how you doing? I don't like what you just did right now. I'm coming to you right now. You know what I'm saying? So when that happens, people look at it like an attack instead of looking at it like just for what it is. Like, hey, I'm handling a situation right now. I'm not handling it later. Like, you know what I mean? I can understand if I broke somebody's face or something like that. But like you said, you know, you do you. Why are you worried about me? So I'm approaching you for worrying about me right now. It's not an attack. It's a correction.
Right. I mean, if you come at it the right way. See, I
Yeah.
always thought, and I was always taught that if you got to handle something, you got to go call somebody out. Start it off simple and start it off with saying something cool. Set the tone.
Very true.
Say something cool. That way the tensions aren't rising and people kind of know where you're at. Once you set the tone, then you follow through with what you got to talk about. If you just come in and you don't set no tone, you just go right in on somebody, yeah, it can go either way, you know,
Yeah.
but if you set the tone, you could probably handle things a little bit better.
Very true. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a lot, man. But you know, we're just one conversation on a huge platform, you know, YouTube that, you know, some people are gonna see, some people are not gonna see. But I hope a lot of people see it. But it's really good conversation, man. I hope more people are thinking the way that like we're thinking, man. And I don't want nobody to don't think because of me. Just think about it, man. The stuff can be a lot easier than what we're making it, man. There's enough problems going on without us making everything into a. When it got down, I'm not gonna lie to you, Mike. When it got down to the who's using what bathroom, I was listen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but you know what?
Bathroom, man.
The argument, I see the valid argument behind it. I don't think it was so much of what sex is in what bathroom. I think it was more the scare of the open door for the sickos out there to use it as an excuse to get in there. And, you know, I have a niece, you know what I mean? And
I got 3.
she's going to be 13. If you think for 1 second, if I'm out with her and some dude thinks he's going to go in the bathroom with my nieces, I don't care what you identify as. If you still got the package, you ain't going in there.
Yeah, it is different thoughts. See, in your situation right there, like just like you just said. So somebody can sit there and say, "Oh, well, you have a problem with me because this is what I want to do." But no, your thought is a valid, you know, concern. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely people, and if you don't think that there's going to be people with open door policies, like you just said, to where you know it might just be somebody put a little wig on. No, I like to go in here, and there'll be somebody in there creeping on freaking girls in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's already happening. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just more of an open invitation for those kind of people. You have to think about those kind of people. As much as you might not want to mention it in this argument, you have to consider it, man, because it is a valid point.
In every group and every culture, every gender, there's always an evil percentage.
Yeah.
There's always a downside. And what I just said was by no means to discredit or attack anybody who's transgender or undergoing that process, by no means. But there are people out there who will use what you're doing as an excuse to do evil things.
Exactly. It's very true.
So I hope listeners understood that, because I didn't want anybody to think I was being hateful. That's not the case here.
Hey, Mike, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it anyway, bro. No matter what anybody say.
Come on with it. But
they can get it. You get it.
You know, it's just there's a lot of evil ass bastards out there, and they'll look for any excuse and any reason to do something evil. And people just got to be a lot more mindful of that crap, you know?
Yeah, it's very true, bro. It's very true. People be saying stuff. I hear a lot of conversations about all the rules and the laws of this and that or whatever, and they're like, "Well, why do we need that? Why do you need these certain laws? Why do you need these?" Because at the end of the day, man, there's people out there who, if they didn't have certain restrictions and regulations in place, people would be losing their damn minds doing whatever, man. They
Right.
do it now. They do it now. I was talking about on my last episode, Mike. I was talking about the people who were doing the challenges, and the challenges where they sit there and they had the one challenge with the Drake song, and people were letting their car drive and getting out and opening it and dancing while the car door was open.
Oh God, that thing.
Listen, and I saw the one fucking girl. She did it. I don't know. It wasn't a closed off street. I'll tell you that. But this car careened her ass. And I was like, yo, she's the reason why you need rules and shit. Because if nobody don't give rules, there'd be like 40 people, but if somebody gives rules, and it's just her ass on the camera.
Right. I mean,
have
hell,
to
growing
have
up before
rules.
social media, when you heard stuff like that, that was just considered something stupid that you don't do,
Stupid.
and you don't do it. But now it's like everything's taken as a challenge. I mean, you had the Tide Pod challenge,
Yeah.
then you had
Crazy.
they had the duck face challenge. That's the one with the selfies and the girls with the
Yeah.
puckered up lips. I call them Preparation H victims because they do it so much. Someone told them Preparation H was a good lip gloss.
Oh,
But
man.
I'm sure you get the joke.
Oh yeah. Fuck her up.
Yeah, that's what you use on hemorrhoids.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But yeah, now it's like everything's just taken as a challenge, and it's like people just don't think much anymore. They
Yeah.
just do.
Yeah, and they do for popularity. That's the even scarier part. It's like the peer pressure isn't even like real as far as it doesn't even have to be anybody anymore. It's literally just the peer pressure of wanting to be seen. I think that's even more dangerous than the guy who was in the bathroom when we were kids. Like, yo, make a hit of this cigarette, you feel me, or this weed, whatever. Now you have a population of teens and young teens that are growing up, and they just want to be noticed like they see other people getting noticed, and that's pressure all in its own. So now you want to do whatever the next is the most extreme thing. Some people are just take it with like really good talent, things of that nature, which is healthy. But then you have people that are I'm going into Walmart and jumping on the damn bag stand and pouring milk all over themselves. Like I've seen ridiculous shit, man. Just for it's
What
you can think of. I saw it the other day because I was saying that whenever I see shit like that, I'm always saying to myself, like, yo, if I was in Walmart right now with my daughters and my son, and I'm already on edge, like making sure my family's safe at all times. If I see somebody I'm checking out and somebody comes that close to my family on some crazy shit, guy came up and stood on the bag stand and poured milk all over himself and was screaming as he did it. And I see the family was right there, and a guy's daughter was right there, standing right there watching this guy in his underwear, fucking pouring milk all over himself, and with his little girl right there, man. And I'm just thinking to myself in my head, what the hell would happen if that was me? And I know I'm very it ain't gonna go down without a problem. But I just can't believe like that's where people are now, man. There's no boundary. It's like people will do anything just for a review, for attention, for clout, whatever they call it. But it's some crazy shit, man.
Hell, for me, things of that nature. I mean, I never went that far, but I was always one of those guys to look for like what are the funniest things I can create in a public setting for a damn good laugh. And that's the only level. I never went as far as doing what you just said, looking like a porn actress at the checkout line.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I was that kind of guy that would walk in and be like, what, it'll be funny. I'm gonna go into the dressing room, wait about 15 minutes, and yell out to the attendant, "Hey, I need more toilet paper in here."
Yeah, like jokes. That's like that's like
jokes,
pranks
what
and
I
stuff
mean?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but now people see that you do it once, and everybody else starts saying it. Now everybody's doing it,
Trying to
so
top
it's
it. That's what's even worse. I mean, somebody will go in there and take a shit in the dressing rooms now, for real.
Yeah. Or someone will say, "Hey, I need another magazine. The cup's not full yet."
Yeah. Stupid shit. Like, it's true, man. But yo, Mike, man, thank you for coming on the Beeline. Yo, you have a lot of a lot of interesting information, man. Congratulations on all your success and everything you've been through.
Thank you.
Let me ask you. I want to close the show with let me ask you. So, who was your favorite wrestler and stuff growing up?
Ooh, as a kid.
Yeah,
as a kid for everybody, I think it had to be either Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
As a kid, but as I got older, it kind of it evolved into Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
It started like in that area, but my parents were watching wrestling before I was born. They were watching the Von Erichs and the Freebirds go at it.
Yep. Mine too.
You know, so
Yeah.
I go back as probably as far as saying maybe the Von Erichs, but I don't. I'm able to catch up now on their
Yeah.
stuff, but I don't remember it then.
Yeah. Me too. I was definitely always like we said. I remember the first thing I saw was that Hogan and Flair match, but I remember we had a tape, and that was like the first thing I used to watch like over and over again. They had taped SummerSlam '91 when Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth got married. They had taped that, and that was the first thing I used to watch all the time. Hulk Hogan had versed Sergeant Slaughter and
The Desert
uh,
Storm match.
yeah, remember that the
Yeah.
match from hell, match made in hell, match made in heaven.
Yep.
That was what I watched all the time, and that's what really built me into wrestling, man. So I used to love like Hulk Hogan, like you said, Macho Man. I was always big with Bret Hart. Bret Hart was my boy. But then it grew into like Stone Cold and The Rock and The Undertaker. Love, man. Attitude Era. But I love wrestling, man. I've always, and it's an honor to talk to somebody who's met. Who was your favorite interview?
I think Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan was by far the nicest and the coolest guy.
Yeah,
because at the time when I met him and I asked to get an interview with him, we're walking to the back of the place in the kitchen area to go do the interview. And along the way, I had told him, hey, man, thank you so much for spitting in Cena's face. Because at the time, my ex loved him.
Yeah.
And I catch crap for liking the female wrestlers, but she's flaunting Cena in my face. So when Daniel Bryan spit in his face, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. If you think about it, here's one more wrestling question. If you think about it, who would you say is the greatest wrestler of all time if you really had to just pick one?
I couldn't.
I've thought about this shit, right? And like I said, Stone Cold, The Rock, my favorite of all time. The Undertaker is probably like the top of all time. But if you think about it, bro, John Cena is probably the greatest wrestler of all time. Not as far as wrestling, but as far as who he is.
Sports entertainer.
Yeah, sports entertainer. Let's say it like that. But he's definitely, as far as championships go, as far as publicity, everybody knows John Cena. To this day, if you say wrestling, they're gonna say John Cena. They say John Cena before The Rock. John Cena is probably bigger than Hogan. I would say bigger than Hogan, man. And I've thought about it. For a while.
Well, it's a different time. It's a different age, though. I mean, you got to figure Hogan was the first pro wrestler to self-market himself.
Yeah, Hulkamania.
He was the first to do that. He actually started that and paved the way for all these other wrestlers to endorse themselves and create their own line of merchandise and put themselves over.
Yeah.
And
he had everything.
American Made was the first shirt he had.
Yeah.
And when he started getting all that money on the side from his own line, promoters wanted a piece of it.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up working with Vince. Yeah. Vince is like, I don't need his money from his merchandise. His name alone's going to do it for me.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of what steered the career wherever it is now, man. It's like, because, when I found out all the crazy stuff about the business side of pro wrestling, man, it's very cutthroat, especially at least WWE, man. When I found out they're all independent contractors and nobody's an actual employee, it's a lot of shit, man. It's crazy that they have to pay for their insurance. They have to pay for their travel expenses and all that. It's really crazy, man. There's a lot of politics around it too, the unfairness of it and the equality of it. But
that's why the indies are better.
Yeah, so I hear, man. That's why you got the Kenny Omegas and the with the elite, what the hell are the tag team?
The Young Bucks.
Young Bucks, yeah, they're freaking phenomenal, bro. They've turned down WWE, man, for those reasons, yo.
My only gripe I have right now with the state of wrestling is everybody is using the same finisher almost. And I get so sick of how many super kicks I could see in one show, or a choke slam or a code breaker.
Yeah.
I get sick of it because those moves were finishers. That's it. That's the end. Yeah. It's over. So when you got two guys doing two of them at the same time, the guys just getting back up like it didn't mean anything. It's like, it's demeaned the move in a sense.
I was watching a match on Instagram a couple of days ago, and it was Tatanka, and Tatanka was wrestling. I think he was just wrestling like a clobber. Remember Tatanka? He did his finisher, and you know what his finisher was?
A tomahawk.
Wait a minute. He did the Samoan drop as a finisher. on the match that I saw. I can't remember exactly what his finisher was back in the day.
I don't think he really had one.
That's even worse. I thought it was the Samoa
I don't think
drop.
he ever got that far to have a finisher. The only thing he
Wow.
really had was yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think he ever had, even in an exhibition or a dark match, I don't think he ever had a finisher.
Yeah, because he did a Samoan drop on the guy, and that was it. And I'm like, damn, a Samoan drop used to be a finisher back in the day. And I'm like, they do Samoan drops fucking 5 times in one match now. You could
Yeah.
forget about it. Yeah. Shawn Michaels had the super kick, and that was like, the finisher, the clincher. But now everybody does it, man. It's like you said, it's like finishers aren't really finishers anymore. You still got like, Kevin Owens does the stunner now, and it's nothing like Stone Cold's. Like, yeah, that's one of the things you really can't. After Stone Cold made that, like the Stone Cold stunner, it's hard to kind of take that and do it from somebody else. Randy Orton did pretty good with the RKO in the from the Diamond Cutter though, because Diamond Cutter was DDP shit for.
Yeah, they were all different in different ways. I mean, Orton jumped with his.
Yeah.
Austin sat down, and DDP kicked his legs out. So they were all they were all modified versions of them.
Yeah, that's true too.
But I just, but when I started people using the stunner as a finisher, and you got some people doing it, it's like Austin should have been the only one to do the stunner. He should have had it copyrighted.
Yeah.
Had that locked down so people couldn't just start taking it, because that's what waters down the business the most, is when you see people just biting off everybody else.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of Kanye West in the wrestling business.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Kanye, I didn't say that shit.
Kim told me to say it.
Yo, Mike, man, it's been fun, bro. Hey, everybody, go check out Mike's podcast. Go ahead, shout it out one more time, Mike. I'm gonna put a link on the description of this video so you guys can click on it and check them out.
If y'all looking for new music and new artists to check out, and you're into any of the genres that was mentioned earlier, you can find me on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Buzzsprout, and Listen Notes.
Awesome.
And you can find us there and on krmaradio.com. You can find the Stoverload Podcast, Rock Blocks, and the Cozy Corner on there too.
You guys heard it here, yo. Thank you guys for watching the Beeline. As always, we will be back this Thursday. I know I didn't have a show last Thursday, but it's cool. I'm trying to get some stuff together. Your boy got a new job. Thankful for that. So we got a lot of things changing, but I am back. And your boy Brian B is telling you once again to stay true, stay positive, pay attention. Yo, Mike, thank you for coming on. But
Thanks
your
for
boy
having me.
Brian B and the Beeline will holler.